All right, good morning. Hopefully I am live streaming all right. And go ahead and make sure you have a water, your mat, and just take a moment to begin to center, finding a nice, comfortable seated position. And once you arrive on your mat, go ahead and just roll the flesh from underneath your sits bones. Find a nice grounded seat, feeling your tailbone dropping towards the mat. Go ahead and just allow your arms to sit on your knees, palms up, as you begin to center in. Go ahead and begin to turn your attention inward, allowing your eyes to close. And bringing your attention onto your breath. As we begin to connect with our breath this morning, I want you to begin to inhale and exhale through the nose. And once you found that rhythm, breathing in and out through the nose, I want you to go ahead and begin lengthening the breath. So inhaling to a count of 4, and exhaling to a count of 4. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, and exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and continue. As you continue, you're inhaling and exhaling to the count of 4. I want you to begin to draw the breath so you can hear a whisper sound, kind of as if you were sucking in through a straw. Really draw that breath so it's hitting the back of the throat. You should hear a whisper sound with each inhale and exhale. Gently allowing your eyes to open. On your next inhale, drawing your arms up overhead, palms facing each other. Then go ahead and draw your shoulders down, away from your ears. And on your next exhale, dropping that right hand to the mat and beginning to bend over towards the right. You really want to open up that right side body, stretching out through, the left side body, stretching out through the left fingertips, but also finding a little more length in that right, so beginning to press into that right hand. See if you can just get a little bit more length in that right side body as well. Taking a few breaths here into this opening. On your next inhale, coming up through center. Exhale, dropping that left hand to the mat and bending over towards the left. Really extending through those right fingertips. Finding a nice opening along that right side body, and then beginning to press up into that left hand, creating just a little bit more space on the left there as well. On your next inhale, coming up through center, then exhale, forward fold. For the first few breaths, I want you to just focus on elongating the spine, drawing that crown forward. And after your first couple breaths, go ahead and begin to relax the shoulders and neck, allowing the forehead to fall towards the earth. On your next inhale, beginning to press up through center. Once you go ahead and switch the cross of your legs. And we're going to go ahead and forward fold on this side as well. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. And taking those first couple breaths once again, just to find some length in the spine. The crown of the head. Imagine as if a cord strapped right in the center of your head and drawing it kind of at a diagonal, probably to where the ceiling and wall meet. And after your first couple breaths here, go ahead and begin to release in the shoulders, head, neck, forehead, bows towards the earth. On your next inhale, pressing up through center and making your way onto your hands and knees. We're going to begin by lining up the knees under hips, shoulders under wrists. I want your palms and fingertips nice and spread, as if you could make a star with your hands. So you want to feel all four corners of the hand and all 10 fingertips pressing into the mat. Now, before we go ahead and do our cat-cow, we're just going to do a little bit of wrist work. So I want you to take the left hand, twist those fingertips back towards the body, and then begin to press down onto the mat. And you may not get your full palm on the mat, depending on how tight your forearms are. But just beginning to find some opening there, breathing into the front of the arm. Maybe you begin to just shift your hips back a little bit to deepen the stretch. And then go ahead and release that left hand. And you're going to now bring the top of that hand to the mat. So your palm is facing up. You want to press till the wrist comes to the mat. And you might be there, you might begin to shift the hips back. And then go ahead and release that wrist, bringing the palm back to the mat. Then taking your right hand, pointing your fingertips back towards your body and beginning to press the palm towards the mat. And just breathing in to that forearm. The wrist, feeling the opening across the front of the arm. And then releasing that hand. Go ahead now, palm up. So swooping again those fingertips back towards your body, but palm faces up. Pressing that wrist down towards the mat. And maybe you're right here, nice and straight. Maybe you begin to shift the hips back for a little bit deeper stretch. And go ahead and release that palm back to the mat. Fingers facing towards the front of the room. And kind of restacking those hips over the knees. And we're going to go ahead and take some cat-cow. Inhaling the head and tailbone up. Exhale, pressing down through the hands and knees. Arch in the back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhaling forward. And exhaling back. Go ahead and take this just a few more times at the pace of your own breath. Seeing if you can find any spaces in the spine that are feeling tight. Finding just a little bit of release. Go ahead and take one more breath. And then we'll meet in neutral spine. From neutral spine, go ahead and tuck those toes under. And pressing the hips up and back for down dog. And our first down dog of the day. Maybe we'll pedal the legs out, bending one knee and then the other. But go ahead and connect these motions to your breath. So maybe inhaling, both heels come up. Exhale, one heel goes down. Inhaling, heel up. Exhaling, other heel down. Kind of roll those armpits under towards your ears, spread across the shoulder blades in the back, and continuing to press firmly into the hands, chest drops towards the floor. Go ahead and press both heels back for a couple breaths. Making sure your feet are parallel to each other. Inhale, bending the knees, gazing forward. And on an exhale, you can float and or step your feet to your hands. And we're going to go ahead and work the wrists here in forward fold for a few breaths. So go ahead again and place the backs of the hands on the mat, bending as deeply into the knees as you need to. And go ahead and put your fingers under your feet, or actually step, if you can, the toes all the way up to the wrists. Then allowing the head and neck to release, shoulders relax. You can begin pressing down through the feet, finding a little bit more opening in the back of the legs. Top of the head continues to fall towards the earth. And on your next inhale, go ahead and release your hands from under your feet, releasing the fingertips back to the mat, tucking the tailbone and beginning to roll up, one vertebra at a time, allowing the head and neck to come up last. And at the top, on an inhale, drawing the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling, arms up. And exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, placing the hands and stepping back into high plank. Taking one inhale at the top of your high plank. And on your exhale, I want you to drop your knees, chest, chin. Inhaling up into baby cobra. And exhaling the hips back and up into down dog. Go ahead, inhale that right heel up, three-legged dog. Exhale, bending the knee and stepping through. I want you to take a moment here, just double checking that that knee is stacked above the ankle and it's not coming forward. Really pressing out through that back heel. Taking just a couple breaths here. And runner's lunge. And we'll come into Anjaneyasana, dropping that back knee and the top of the foot onto the mat. Beginning to press those hips forward and down. Inhaling, drawing the arms up. Opening the chest, gazing up. Squeezing the thighs in towards the midline. Maybe dropping the elbows down, opening the arms up, cactus arms. One more deep inhale. On your exhale, returning the hands to the mat, curling those back toes under and stepping back into down dog. Taking just a couple breaths here. On your next inhale, drawing that left heel up. Exhale, bending the knee, stepping through. And just taking a few breaths here to line up that ankle and knee. Really pressing out through that back heel. Stretching across the front of that right leg. And go ahead and drop that knee to the mat. Top of the foot comes down. Beginning to drop your hips forward. And inhale. Drawing up. Anjaneyasana. Again, squeezing those thighs in towards the midline. Maybe opening the chest. Dropping the elbows down, cactus arms. On your next inhale, placing the hands on the mat, curling those back toes under, pressing hips up and stepping back, down dog. We're going to run through that vinyasa one more time, but to the count, to the pace of our breath. So inhale, bending the knees, gazing forward. Exhale, stepping or floating the feet to the hands. Inhaling in forward fold. And exhaling. Inhaling, reverse swan dive all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, placing the hands, stepping back, high plank. One inhale at the top of the plank. And exhale, dropping knees, chest, chin. Inhale, baby cobra. And exhale, back, down dog. Inhale, right heel up. Exhale, stepping through. Inhale, dropping down. Exhale, rising up. Inhaling at the top. Exhale, dropping the hands. Inhaling back into down dog. One exhale and down dog. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, step through. Inhale, dropping knee. Exhale, rising up. One inhale at the top. Exhale, placing the hands Inhaling, stepping back, down dog. And exhaling here. And we're gonna go ahead and move on to a full vinyasa, Namaskara A. Inhale, bending the knees, gazing forward. Exhale, feet to hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release down. Inhale, all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, placing the hands, stepping back into plank. Inhaling at the top. And exhale, yogi's choice, all the way down through chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra or up dog. And exhaling back, down dog. Inhale that right leg up. Exhale, stepping through. Go ahead and swivel that back heel down onto the mat. We're going to shift the hips towards the front of the mat and rising up into Warrior One, Virabhadrasana One. I'm taking a couple of breaths here, sinking those hips a little bit lower. One more deep inhale. And on your exhale, placing your hands on the mat, framing that foot, swiveling that heel up and stepping back, down dog. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, stepping through. Go ahead and place that back foot on the mat, toes angling forward, and on an inhale, rising up into Virabhadrasana or Warrior One. Taking a few breaths here, beginning to work on squaring those hips off towards the front of the room, really pressing out through that back heel, deepening just a little bit into that front knee. One more deep inhale. Your exhale, placing your hands and stepping back into down dog. Taking a couple breaths here. On your next inhale, bending the knees, gazing forward. And exhale, stepping or hopping your feet to your hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, placing the hands, stepping back. Inhale at the top. And exhale, chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. And exhale, back, down dog. One more vinyasa, just like that. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, step through. Inhale, placing the foot. Rising up. And exhaling. One deep inhale. Exhale, placing the hands, stepping back. Inhaling, left leg up. Exhale, stepping through. Inhale, placing the feet and rising up. And exhaling at the top. One more inhale. And exhale, placing the hands, stepping back. Go ahead now and bring the big toes together. Knees wide. And pressing the hips back into child's pose. And just taking a few breaths here in Balasana or child's pose. Go ahead and reconnect with that breath, slowing it down. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. On your next inhale, coming back onto your hands and knees, tucking those toes, shifting those hips up and back, down dog. From down dog, let's just begin to walk our feet to our hands. And again, we're just gonna roll, tuck the tailbone and begin to roll up to standing. From here, we're just gonna go ahead and take a few of the poses, taking time to set them up and take 5 or 10 breaths in each pose. So we're gonna start with Warrior Two. So you're gonna take your foot facing the front of the mat. The back foot, you're gonna take a pretty good step back, and the heel's gonna angle back, toes angle forward. And you might try lining up your heel to the instep of your back foot. So almost like you were on a tight line, tight rope. From here, you're gonna begin bending into that front knee, and you can always make it less deep. You can always take a step forward. Just making sure that that front knee is not coming forward over the ankle. So once you've got your base set up, you can begin to open across this front thigh, so pressing the knee back. So you should be able to gaze down and see your first 2 toes. And then from here, you can begin to open also across the front of this hip. So we're opening our hips, kind of facing the side of our mat. And then bringing your torso to face the side, you can go ahead and draw your arms up. Fingertips pointing out away from one another in the same line as your feet. Then go ahead and gaze forward. Maybe drop down a little bit deeper. And just begin to breathe here. Seeing if you can slow that breath down. Pressing down into all 4 corners of both feet and energetically drawing your heels towards one another. On your next inhale, straightening that leg, allowing the arms to fall. And we're going to go ahead and just twist the feet and set up for the opposite direction. So once you've got that heel lined up with the instep of the back foot, you can begin to bend now into that left knee. And beginning to open the hips towards the side of your mat. And drawing the arms up. And gazing out over those front fingertips, also gazing down, seeing that you can see that first big toe. And as you begin to continue to open across the front of those hips, go ahead and also draw your heels in towards one another. And continuing to breathe here. Warrior Two. On your next inhale, straightening into that front knee, allowing the arms to fall. I'm going to set back up to the other side. 4, extended angle. So bringing that right foot to the front of the mat. Left foot takes a pretty good step back. This time, the toes are going to be pointing out straight towards the side of the mat. So your feet will be perpendicular to each other. Again, checking that that front heel lines up with the instep of the back foot. Go ahead and begin bending into that right knee. From here, you're just going to bring that right elbow right above the right knee. Opening the shoulders towards the side of your mat. Creating a nice even plane across the chest. You might begin to wrap that left hand behind the back. Maybe you can grab a thigh. Continuing to open across the chest. And then go ahead and just draw that crown out in line with your spine. So drawing the crown of your head out at the same angle. We can take a few more breaths here. If you're feeling open today, you might drop down one more level, bringing your hand to the mat. Really pressing out through the outside edge of that back foot, in through all four corners of the front foot. And if you've got that hand wrapped, releasing that left hand and drawing it up forward over your head. On your next inhale, coming all the way up, and go ahead and switch the feet for the other side. Left toes forward, right foot perpendicular, heel lines up with instep, and then go ahead and begin to bend into that front knee. Beginning to plane your chest towards the front of the room, taking that left elbow right above the left knee. You might just keep your hand on your hip. You might wrap behind your back and maybe even see if you can grab onto that thigh, popping the shoulders open. The heart shines forward. Maybe you drop that front hand to the mat for a few more breaths. Maybe you stay up on your thigh. Go ahead and release that hand from the back and draw it up alongside your ear. On your next inhale, coming all the way up. Go ahead and point all toes towards the sides of the mat. And actually angle the toes just slightly in towards your body, so you're just slightly pigeon-toed. From there, go ahead and place your hands on your hips. Begin to draw the chest forward, long spine, and then dropping the head towards the mat. Releasing your hands to the mat. And just breathing into your legs here, pressing out through the outer edges of the feet. Maybe you just continue to breathe here. Maybe you take your hands behind your back and interlace them. If you interlace them, I want you to first draw your fists down your back towards your sacrum, your tailbone. And then from there, if you'd like more shoulder opening, you can begin to pull those fists up and away from your back. Go ahead and keep a micro bend in your knees here. Releasing your hands back onto your back, unlacing the fingertips, maybe drawing them down the back of the legs and holding onto the ankles. Maybe you pull the chest just a little bit closer to midline. Then go ahead and bring both hands over to the right leg. Walking through center, bring both hands over to the left leg. And then go ahead and release to center. Go ahead and heel toe your feet back together. And you can roll up to standing. From standing, let's all come to the front of our mats. And bring the feet parallel to each other, about hips distance apart. Pressing down through the balls of the feet, through all 10 toes, and through the heels. Just taking a moment to find your center balance here. Once you do, go ahead and just draw your fingertips down away from your sides into Tadasana or mountain pose. Shoulders drop down away from the ears, crown rises up, tailbone drops down, belly button tucks in. Maybe even squeeze your glutes just a little, drawing your knees up towards your nose, activating those quads. On your next inhale, drawing your arms up overhead, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, and exhale, placing your hands, stepping back into high plank. One inhale at the top of your plank, and an exhale, dropping down, chaturanga, or knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra or up dog, and exhale, just pushing the hips back into child's pose. On your next inhale, rising up to seated, go ahead and just sit, if it's available to you, back on your heels. Drawing your hands forward, dropping your chin in towards your chest. Shoulder blades draw down away from the ears. And let's come back up onto our hands and try tucking your toes under. You may want a pillow close by for this one, or a block if you need a little bit more height. But if you can, if it's available to your feet, this is a really nice opening for the bottoms of your feet if you can sit back on your heels. Again, if it's really painful here, go ahead and just stick a block or something to support you to get a few breaths into the bottoms of those feet. On your next inhale, coming forward, and we're going to make our way down onto our side. We're going to take a few versions of Vashisthasana, or side plank. So the first one, starting with your elbow right under your shoulder, forearm perpendicular to your body, hand pressing into the mat. Go ahead and draw your feet out long. The outer edge of that bottom foot is going to press into the mat, and you may stack your feet. You may take one foot, the top foot forward for some balance. And from here, taking that top hand onto the hip. And on your next inhale, lifting those hips up. And really push those hips up as high as they'll go, pressing down into that elbow and hand, down into the feet. And then dropping the hips down and lifting up, down, and up, really crunching as much as you can into the side here. Release and lift. And two more times, release and lift. One more time, release and lift. Go ahead, drop your hips back to the mat. You can just flip over or switch around. I'm going to stay facing the camera. And again, lining up your elbow under the shoulder. Hand flat on the mat. Again, deciding whether you want to come up with feet stacked, or you might kickstand the top one out. And as you're ready, we're going to come on up into Vashisthasana. Lifting those hips. and then releasing them down and lift. Crunching along that lower side body, dropping and lift. 3 more times. Down and lift. Down and lift. 1 more time. Down and lift. And release. And we're going to go ahead and come back onto the other side for one more variation, or possibly even the full variation. This time we're going to have our bottom hand out long. So go ahead and place that hand on the mat, drawing your legs out long. Maybe I'll start with a kickstand for this first one, and pressing the hips up. Maybe from here you stack the legs. Maybe you just breathe here. Maybe you play with lifting that top foot up. And release. And go ahead and switch to the other side. Bringing that hand to the mat, wrist stacked under the shoulder. Maybe taking a kickstand at first to finish setting up. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you stack the feet. Continuing to press those hips up. Maybe you begin to lift that top leg up. And releasing to the mat. Go ahead and make your way onto your back. Let's go ahead and just take a few breaths here, resetting the breath. Soles of the feet on the mat, knees bent. And from here, go ahead and make that triangle with your thumbs and pointer fingers. Pointer fingers come together, tips of the thumbs come together. You're going to take that triangle, set it palms down right under your sacrum. From here, you're going to draw your legs out long. And then bring them up. Just a little bit off the mat, a foot maybe. Inhale, drawing them all the way up. And exhale, releasing towards the mat. Inhaling up. Exhale, dropping. And you're really drawing that belly button in this whole time, pressing those hips towards your hands, inhaling up. And exhale, dropping them towards the mat. 2 more times, inhaling up. And exhale, dropping them towards the mat. 1 more time, inhaling up. And exhale, dropping the soles of the feet to the mat. Pressing up, releasing the hands. And now we're going to take a few yogi sit-ups. So drawing the knees up. 90-degree angle to the body. Pointing those toes. Go ahead and take your hands, make a nice cradle behind your neck. So you're not pulling on your neck, you're just resting your head in your hands. In the beginning, to maybe draw the knees out a little bit away from the body. Inhale, bringing your shoulders and chest up off the mat. And then we're going to lengthen the left leg and draw the right arm over to the outside of the left leg and back. And switch and inhale up and exhale back. Inhale up, exhale back. Inhale up, exhale back. Inhale up, exhale back. A few more times, inhaling up and exhaling back. Inhaling up. Exhale back. One more time each side. Inhale up. Exhale back. Inhale up. Exhale back. And bringing both knees in towards the chest, giving them a hug. Maybe you're rocking your hips from side to side. And then go ahead and just grab behind the thighs and begin to rock back and forth, coming up to seated. We're just going to take a couple Navasana or boat variations. So for this one, starting with the hands behind your back, you're going to press your chest up, nice straight spine, and then inhale, drawing the knees and feet up off the mat. So continuing to keep that spine nice and straight, pressing the chest forward. Maybe you stay right here, find that breath. Maybe straighten the legs. Maybe you raise the hands. And go ahead and grab behind the thighs, drawing the knees in towards the chest, and toes touch the mat. Go ahead and release. Go ahead and come all the way onto your belly. We're going to work the back a little bit, keep everything balanced. Let's go ahead and draw your arms along beside you, tops of the hands on the mat, forehead on the mat. Pressing your thighs in towards one another, and for the moment, pressing the tops of your feet onto the mat. And when we begin, we're going to lift our head and shoulders and our feet up off the mat. So inhale up and hold. And release. And do that a couple more times. Inhale up and hold. Keep breathing. And on your next exhale, release. We're going to come up one more time, but this time we're going to take bow. So drawing your feet up off the mat till you can grab them. Preferably you can walk your hands down and grab your ankles. If not, the tops of the feet are fine. And on your next inhale, drawing the thighs and chest up, pressing the ankles into the hands, hands into the ankles. Drawing those thighs together towards one another. And exhale, release everything back to the mat. And go ahead and bring your hands under your shoulders, pressing your hips up and back into child's pose. On your next inhale, coming forward onto your hands and knees and making your way all the way onto your back once more. I'm going to take our last few poses for the day before we head into Shavasana. So starting to wind down, go ahead and bring both soles of your feet to the mat. Knees are bent. Left ankle is going to come up and cross over the right knee. Flexing that left foot. On an inhale, drawing that right foot off the mat, grabbing behind the thigh or in front of the shin. Figure 4. Go ahead and release the right leg, returning it to the mat and crossing. And bringing that right foot up, crossing that right ankle over the left knee. Flexing that top foot. And on an inhale, drawing that thigh up and threading through and grabbing it either behind the thigh or in front of the shin. Continuing to draw those hips back down towards the mat. If they want to come up, drawing them down. Maybe you encourage that right hip open a little bit more by pressing on the thigh with your elbow. You started behind the thigh and find a little more opening. Maybe then you grab in front of the shin. And go ahead and release. Soles of both feet to the mat. Taking that left foot back up and crossing it over the right. Go ahead and drop both knees over towards the right. Maybe you gaze out over your left shoulder. Nice, easy spinal twist. On your next inhale, coming up through center, switching the cross of the legs. Right foot comes over, both knees drop to the left, and maybe you gaze out over your right shoulder. On your next inhale, coming back up through center. And once you uncross, go ahead and release your legs all the way to the mat. Allowing your arms to fall open by your sides. Spine nice and long and completely supported by the earth. And drawing your awareness into the present moment, into your body. Beginning to scan your body. And just noticing If you feel sensation in any area, just observing, just noticing. And drawing your attention into the present moment by holding your awareness onto the sensation of your breath, feeling the air as it flows in and out, cooling as you draw it in, warm as you breathe out. Just noticing the subtle sounds of the music, my voice, releasing in this moment any attachment to people, places, things, tasks. For the next few moments, there's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be. Just breathing. Beginning to bring some awareness back into the body by running your thumb gently over all 10 fingertips. Well, I guess 8 fingertips. Just rubbing back and forth. And then maybe you lace your fingertips together and stretch your palms out away from you long overhead. Also stretching out through your toes and the balls of your feet. Feeling your spine come up away from the mat. And then go ahead and bend your feet, bending your knees, bringing the soles of your feet to the mat. Beginning to roll onto one side into fetal position. And keeping your eyes closed for the next few moments as you begin to press up, allowing the head to come last, making your way back into a comfortable seated position. And bringing your palms together, pressing all 10 fingertips into one another. All 4 corners of each palm presses into each other. And as you press a little bit harder, hand into hand, maybe you feel a little bit of spreading or opening across the chest. Go ahead and take the base of the thumbs and press them up into your sternum. Drawing your shoulders down, away from your ears. And thanking yourself for showing up today, for honoring your body with your practice. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.